Hi, good afternoon. These notes are in frequency tables and histograms. So let's go ahead and get started. What is a frequency table? It is a table that shows how often each number, item, or range of numbers occurs in a set of data. What is a histogram? Is a graph that shows the frequency of data in intervals of the same size. The height of the bar represents the frequency of the values in the interval. So below is hours spent on cell phone daily, and this is a list of numbers. And then what I did was I went ahead and went through every number and tallied inside the intervals right here. So the numbers 1 through 5, I counted how many I had and put them in here. So there was a 5 and a 5 and then a 2, a 1, and a 5, and that's where I put the tick marks. And that's how I got the 6 as my frequency. And then I did the same thing for 6 through 10. I just went through, found numbers 6 through 10, put my tallies, and then I put the frequency number, and then I did 11 through 15. Over here is the graph, and the graph represents exactly what's in this frequency table. So the amount of people that spend 1 to 5 hours on their phone is 6 people. 6 through 10 is 7 people. 11 through 15 hours is 2 people. So how do we make a histogram? First thing you do is you list your data from least to greatest. That is optional, it's not necessary. Step 2, decide on the intervals that you're going to use. Step 3, you're going to make a frequency table. 4, label the axes and title your histogram. And then step 5, draw a bar to represent the frequency of each of the intervals. Just so that you know, there are going to be sometimes pieces of data where there is a bar missing because there's no data in that section, and that is A-okay. So if you have a 0 as your frequency, you just won't put a bar at all. Notice how there's no space between the bars, that the bars are touching. So make sure that when you are creating your histograms that you are including that. So just these 2 pieces of information right here. All right, now we're going to go on the inside and we're going to actually create a histogram using the data listed. Again, the intervals need to be the same size. So this is 19, 20, and 21. So that's 19, 20, 21. That's 3 pieces of data. So then we need to do the interval that comes before that. So that'd be 18, 17, 16. So from 16 to 18, because 16, 17, 18 has 3 pieces of data. And then we need to do numbers after 24. So 25, 26, 27, that's 3 pieces of data. So 25 through 27. Again, your intervals have to be the same size. All right, so then we're going to go through our tally marks. And then I'm going to speed through this because I've already counted them. So there were 4 in the 16 through 18. There were 5 in the 19 through 21. There were 4, and if you want to go back and check me, you can, in the 22 through 24. And then there were 5 in the 25 through 27. And these are ages of players on the Real Madrid soccer team. Now we're going to go over here and we're going to actually graph it. So let's go ahead and label our axes. So this is our frequency. So this is how often it occurs. Down here would be our ages. And this would be ages of Real Madrid soccer team. All right, and then right here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Highest we need to go is 5. So, and then your age range is we're gonna do our 16 through 18, and then 19 through 21, 22 through 24. And 25 through 27. And then using our frequency table, we're just going to do a bar graph that shows how many we have in each of these intervals. So in this first interval, we have 4. If you want to use different colors for your bars, you can. And then 19 through 21, there's 5. So I'm going to do 5 bars there. And then 22 through 24, there's 4 bars for that one. And then in 25 through 27, there's 5 for that. All right. So there's our histogram of the Real Madrid soccer players, their ages. Now we're going to talk about different types of distribution. So distribution is shows the arrangement of data values. It can be described by its center, spread, and overall shape using the following: clusters, gaps, peaks, outliers, symmetry. So some different kinds of shapes you're going to be seeing: skew distribution. So this is skewed because you have most of your data over here and then you have this small tail kind of coming off to the side. And this would actually be considered skew right because the tail is happening to the right. This is a normal distribution. You might hear me call it symmetric or mound. This is a bimodal distribution because there's two modes. There's two mounds happening. So that's why it's bimodal, because bi stands for two. And then flat distribution, you might also hear me call this uniform, where it all looks the same going across, kind of like uniforms for a basketball or a baseball team. So then what we're going to do is we're going to describe the center and shape using these two graphs right here. Sorry about that. And we're going to describe the shape for this one. So this one looks pretty normal. So symmetric is probably the shape that we have going here. You might also hear me use the word mound. So symmetric or mound or normal. The mode for this is going to be in the range of 20 through 29. We can't give a specific mode because we don't know what numbers are actually in here. They could be all 20s, they could be all 21s, they could be a range of them within that data set, so we just have to give the range here, or the interval here. And then an outlier, there are none. Now we're going to look at the test scores, and we're going to decide on what kind of shape this is. So it looks like it's skewed, because most of the data is happening over here, and then you have a small amount over here. And it's skew left, because the tail is happening to the left. So skew left. Again, this one was skew right, this is skew left. The mode is happening in the 61 through 80 interval, and then any outliers, the 1 through 20 range. Okay. All right, so now what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and complete these questions over here. So you're going to need to create a frequency table and then graph the data. Same thing here, the frequency table is actually already made for you, so you just have to graph it below. Make sure you label your axes, make sure you title your histogram, and then down here it wants you to use the clusters, gaps, peaks, and outliers and symmetry to describe the shape of the data. So tell me if it's skewed, symmetric, bimodal, or a nice uniform distribution. All right, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please write them at the bottom of the video or come tomorrow in class. All right, have a great afternoon.